Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anthony Zimmer. I am the 2008 Federal Engineer of the Year. With me on 2011 are 3 of our top 10 Federal Engineers of the Year. First of all, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Hines, PhD PE from the Army Corps of Engineers. Welcome. Secondly, Angela DeSoto Duncan, also from the Corps of Engineers, PE. Welcome. And then finally, Jerry Walker, PE, from the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Also, welcome. What we are going to start is a panel discussion, and I'll throw out some questions, and then feel free to answer as you feel comfortable. So first of all, our first question. As federal engineers, many of you are tied somehow to national security. How important is engineering in protecting our national security, both here and abroad? What specific roles does engineering play in national security?
I think I can answer that one, Tony. Engineering is essential in national security, and the reason is because engineering is applied science. So anytime we're talking about engineering, what we're talking about is using technology to solve problems. In the case of national security, we are not given a set that says we want a system that will function precisely like this. What we're given is an end state, an end product. So for instance, we want to find a better way to detect terrorists or detect insurgents. That's the end state that we're given. We want to be able to provide this particular function, and then through engineering we develop the systems that could function in any number of ways to provide that.
Excellent. We hear a great deal about our aging infrastructure, but how do each of you think the U.S. compares with the rest of the world, and do you have any ideas on how we can improve our nation's infrastructure?
I think I can answer that one for you. I think that comparatively speaking, our infrastructure, while aging, is still among the best in the world. And one of the ways that we can improve it, and one of the ways that I know that we've done it within our agency, is by pairing with other countries to cross-pollinate ideas, engineering solutions. For instance, for us in the Hurricane Protection Office in New Orleans, we communicate regularly with Rijkswaterstaat. I have very close friends now on the Rijkswaterstaat staff, and we compare engineering solutions for hydraulic measures, for operational concerns, even for things like corrosion resistance of steel, and what mechanisms do each country use. And I think that cross-pollination is the way that we need to address our aging infrastructure, because there's so much that we can learn from other countries, and so much that other countries can learn from us.
Excellent. Are there any other additional comments on that?
Just that I've been on several foreign assignments, and I agree completely that as far as our infrastructure, though it may be aging, it's certainly better than some that I've seen. We don't have water tanks on street corners to supply water supply to communities and this type of thing.
Okay, third question, and a little departure from the previous two. There's an enormous amount of interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math education today. What are your thoughts on the number of engineers entering the profession, and what else should or could be done to encourage more people to enter the profession?
First of all, I'm not sure that you can have too many engineers, at least if it's possible to do that. We've certainly never had it in the history of our country. I think the interest in STEM, the recent interest in it, is definitely a positive development in our country, because we do have, the United States possesses an edge in the world in its engineering and technological abilities, and an edge that we can only continue to maintain by stimulating interest in the next generation of engineering students and eventually professional engineers. So I think it's definitely a positive development. As far as encouraging prospective engineers or engineering students to enter that field, I think the science of engineering needs to continue to provide exciting and diverse challenges to encourage people to pursue a career like that.
I agree with Robert wholeheartedly. And I think that one of the things that we really need to do is start reaching out to our American children earlier and earlier. So often now you hear about graduate schools where the majority of their enrollment is from other countries, which is wonderful. But often the foreign students are taking the knowledge learned here in the United States and applying it back in their home countries, which is also wonderful. But it does leave a potential void in especially advanced degrees within United States students. I think one of the ways that we can help avoid that or help our U.S. students is by reaching out to them early. And the earlier the better. I took a group of Cub Scouts, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth graders, out to a project site about 2 weeks ago. And I have to say that of everything I've ever done, and I've done a lot of work with students through the years, that was the most energetic group I've ever had. And the resultant, we'll see what happens, they're all young, was we had a number of little boys that came back and said, I want to be an engineer just like Mrs. Duncan. And it was all because they were energized by what they saw and how exciting it was to go out and build something. And I think that that's what energizes the students, is that end product. We can talk, but we need to get them out to the extent possible and practical to see what it is we do and to explain it in their terms. The earlier we energize them, the more likely it is that they'll continue on through the math and sciences in middle school, high school, and then into college.
Excellent.
And that comes with outreach as well, you know, going into the high schools and career days, things like that. The Math Counts program to demonstrate and work with the children to get them interested in engineering early.
Excellent.
And possibly providing mentors for those that are interested. If a student expresses an interest in a particular field of engineering, then we can find individuals for them to contact and visit with and get to know.
I don't know about you, but when I had first entered into engineering, I really didn't know anything about engineering. I thought, you know, engineers make reasonably good money. That should be a good field to go into. However, when I got into it and got into the curriculum and actually saw that engineering was really about solving problems, it excited me. And I think that could you comment possibly about engineering and people's knowledge, or maybe that lack thereof of our field?
For me, I get often, and I've done over the years through NSPE and through ASCE, I've done a lot of outreach to high school groups, college groups, and children and younger. And the first question I usually get is, when I say I'm a civil engineer, is, oh, do you drive a train? And that's I think that's the stigma that we have to overcome. And I think the way that you do it is by getting out to the groups as early as possible and bringing either demonstrations, videos, anything that's going to excite them. NSPE, quite a number of years ago, had a great video that's now dated, and it was all about making bikes. And it was all about how engineers make bikes. And it was, you know, the engineering that went behind the creation of a bike. And that was very helpful in reaching out to the students. I know I've brought wooden bridges from the bridge building contest. You guys, I'm sure, have brought other demonstrations, you know, the egg races, anything that you can bring to explain to them that it's more than just driving a train. And no, engineers really don't drive trains, although it's a very noble profession. That's not what we do.